Thank you, sir.
Julianne Gender, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak on the Taxation, Annual Rates, Foreign Superannuation and Remedial Matters Bill. And the Green Party is supporting this bill, and I must speak up because one of the previous speakers from the government's benches stated something that I think is quite erroneous, which is that the Green Party is opposed to everything. And that's not true at all. The Green Party is for creating a sustainable economy that's going to look after all New Zealanders in the long term. And we take a long-term view, and that's where we differ with this current government. And the truth is, we don't support many of the things this government is doing because this government's strategy is very short-term. Dig it, drill it, mine it, sell it. That's not going to create a long-term future for our children and grandchildren. But the Green Party does support the minor changes contained in this bill because they do make some very tiny tweaks. They do improve the rules around foreign superannuation schemes and the taxation of those. We particularly supported the very tiny moves to remove some of the unnecessary concessions to the mineral mining industry. And this is really, really important because we see a pattern of the national government trying to give special tax breaks to the oil, gas and mineral industries. And that's not fair. That's not going to result in a truly economic investment in a sustainable New Zealand. If you give companies tax breaks, that it gives them a leg up on other industries. Why would we want to give a leg up to an industry that results in pollution or the exploitation of non-renewable resources when, in fact, they should be competing fairly with other businesses that are more sustainable? That's all we're asking for, Mr. Speaker, is a fair and equal tax treatment that leads to a fairer, more equal New Zealand and one that is more sustainable in the long term. And everybody knows, I mean, we can dig up minerals if they exist, and we can sell them. We get a one-off cash hit, perhaps, at least the foreign-owned companies do. It's completely unclear whether New Zealand benefits from that because we do have one of the lowest royalty regimes in the entire world. Okay, someone's going to make some money off of that in the short term. But in the medium and long term, our clean green brand is damaged. We've got nothing left once any royalties we do get from that have been spent. And we've got, what's our long-term strategy there? There's no long-term strategy. Then the Green Party is for a long-term approach, and we're absolutely for simplifying unnecessary complexity in the taxation system. But this bill, although it's not objectionable, it really doesn't go very far. It doesn't go very far towards creating a tax system that is going to ensure that that ecological damage is valued appropriately by companies when they're pursuing different business investment opportunities. It doesn't ensure or make changes that would ensure that those who are at the very top end of the scale don't have a permanent advantage, which then leads to growing inequality in New Zealand. And we just saw with census figures that were released earlier this week that inequality is growing in New Zealand. And that's not good for anyone. It's very, very clear that an increase in inequality leads to all sorts of problems in terms of increased crime, increased public health costs, but above all, it's just not fair. It means that not everyone in New Zealand has a fair go. Those who are on the top income scheme, they don't necessarily pay back their fair share and ensure that everybody, especially those children who are living in poverty, have all the advantages that every other New Zealander has and should have. So the Green Party stands for a simple and fair tax system that leads to a more equal New Zealand and a New Zealand that's going to have long-term opportunities for all of us in the future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
David Bennett.
Thank you. I just want to take a short call on this bill, Mr. Speaker. But first,